The boxes were stacked where my bed used to be. I stood in the doorway of what had been my bedroom for 18 years. The one with the window that faced east, the one where I had studied for every exam that got me into college, the one whose walls I had repainted twice. Different shades of the same blue, trying to get it exactly right. And I looked at the boxes, the shelving unit, the plastic storage bins, the organized chaos of a space that had been repurposed by someone who did not consider whether the original occupant would return to it. My mother came up behind me. She said they had needed the space. She said my brother's room had been too small since he started high school. She said I was at college and hardly ever home. She said it had seemed like a practical solution. She said she had meant to tell me. I looked at the boxes. I looked at the east-facing window, which was partially blocked by a shelf. I said nothing. I went back to school the following day. I said nothing about it to anyone. And for 3 years after that, every time I came home for a break or a holiday, I slept on the pull-out couch in the living room. And I said nothing. And I watched my brother live in the room that had been mine since I was born. And I said nothing about that either. My name is Emma Pierce, and I am 27 years old. And the 3 years I spent saying nothing were not 3 years of acceptance. They were 3 years of deciding what mattered, what I wanted, and what I was going to do when I had the means to do it. The silence was not passive. It was preparation. I need to tell you why I said nothing, because the silence is the part of this story people find hardest to understand. I was 19 when I came home that first break. 19 years old and I found the boxes. I was 22 when I graduated. 25 when the situation finally resolved. 3 years of college. 2 years after, during which the bedroom remained storage. And my brother remained in what had been my room. And I remained on the pull-out couch whenever I came home. People who hear this ask why I did not simply say something. Why I did not tell my parents how I felt. Why I did not ask for the room back. Or for acknowledgement, or for any of the things that the situation would seem to warrant. The honest answer is that I had tried that approach before, not about the bedroom specifically, but in the general pattern of my family, which was a family in which my brother's needs were responded to and mine were managed. This is not dramatic. It is simply what I observed clearly and consistently from the time I was old enough to observe it. My brother's unhappiness produced action. My unhappiness produced perspective. I was told I was resilient, that I handled things well, that it was good that I did not need as much. These things were said warmly, which made them more difficult to argue with than if they had been said unkindly. I had learned by 19 that expressing my needs in that family produced one of two outcomes. Either nothing changed, or what changed was my reputation within the family for being difficult. Neither outcome served me, so I chose the third option. I said nothing. I watched. I built. College was where I started understanding money, not formally. I was studying literature, which my father had said was a difficult choice, and which I had made anyway because I was good at it, and because the practical applications were more varied than the people who questioned it tended to assume. But alongside my degree, I started working. Part-time at first, then more. A series of jobs that taught me things no degree program does. How to manage irregular income, how to save when the amounts are small, how to identify the difference between what you need and what you have been told you should want. I graduated at 22 with a degree, a small savings account, and a job offer from a publishing company. Modestly paid, offering exactly the kind of experience I needed to build towards something larger. I worked for 3 years. I lived carefully. I tracked everything: income, expenses, savings rate. The slow accumulation of a number that I was building toward without telling anyone what I was building toward or why. By 25, I had enough. Enough for a deposit on a small apartment. Not large, not in the most convenient location, not the place I would eventually want to live permanently, but mine. Mine in the specific legal documented sense of a lease signed with my name, and a deposit paid from my own account. I signed the lease on a Thursday afternoon. I sat in the empty apartment for 20 minutes before I called my parents. My mother answered. I told her I had found an apartment and would be moving in the following weekend. I told her the neighborhood, which she knew, and the approximate size, which she found small, and the rent, which she said seemed high for that area. Then I told her I would not be coming home for holidays going forward, not permanently, but for the foreseeable future. While I established my own space and my own routines, I would be spending breaks and holidays in my apartment. She asked why. I had thought carefully about how to answer this question. Not to be cruel. I had no interest in cruelty. Not to be indirect. I had spent 3 years being indirect, and it had not produced anything useful. I had decided I would be honest simply, without the weight of 3 years of accumulated feeling behind it, because the weight would obscure the clarity. I said, "Mom, when I came home from my first break at college, my room had been converted into storage without anyone telling me. I slept on the pull-out couch every visit for 3 years. I never said anything because I didn't think it would change anything. I have my own space now, and I would like to use it." A long silence. "Emma," my mother said, "we thought you didn't mind." "I know," I said. "That's why I didn't say anything. Because saying something wouldn't have changed what you thought." Another silence. "That's not fair," she said. "I know," I said again. "I didn't say it to be fair. I said it to be accurate." My father called the following day. He was more direct than my mother, a quality I have always respected in him, even when the directness was uncomfortable. He said he had not realized the bedroom situation had affected me. I said I understood that. He said he felt badly about it. I said I appreciated that. He asked what he could do. I said the honest answer was that at this point nothing needed to be done. I had handled it myself, which was what I had always done, and I had a place of my own now, and did not need the pull-out couch. What I had needed, I said, was for someone to have thought about it at the time. That moment had passed. What I wanted now was for us to be honest with each other going forward about things that mattered, rather than assuming that my silence meant acceptance. My father was quiet for a moment. Then he said that was fair. I said I thought so too. My brother called me 2 weeks after I moved in. He had heard about the conversation from my parents. He was 23, old enough to understand the situation, but young enough that understanding it was still uncomfortable. He said he had not known I had felt that way about the room. I said I knew he hadn't. I said it was not his fault. He had been given the room, not taken it. The decision had not been his to make. He said he felt bad anyway. I said feeling bad was appropriate, but not sufficient. I said what would be more useful going forward was for him to notice when things in the family were arranged conveniently for him, and less so for others, and to say something about it. Rather than benefiting from the arrangement in silence, he said he had not thought of it that way. I said most people don't until someone points it out. He said he would try. I said that was enough to start with. I have been in my apartment for 2 years now. It is still small. The location is still not ideal. And I have repainted the bedroom wall twice trying to get the shade of blue exactly right, which is the kind of thing you only notice about yourself when you are living somewhere that is entirely your own. The east-facing window in my bedroom here catches the morning light the same way the one at my parents' house did. I noticed this the first morning I woke up here, and I have noticed it every morning since. I go home for some holidays now. My mother makes the pull-out couch less often. She has started giving me the guest room, which is a small adjustment that I have not commented on, because small adjustments made without announcement are their own kind of acknowledgement, and I have learned to receive them as such. My brother remembered what I said. I have seen it in small ways, the way he notices things now, the way he asks rather than assumes. He is not transformed. He is paying attention differently. That is enough. The bedroom at my parents' house is still storage. I have not asked for it back. I do not need it back. What I needed was a room of my own, with an east-facing window, and walls I could paint exactly the right shade of blue. I found it. I paid for it. It is mine. Some things you have to build yourself, because no one is going to build them for you. I learned that at 19, standing in a doorway looking at boxes stacked where my bed used to be. It took me 3 years and a Thursday afternoon and a lease signed with my own name to do something with what I had learned. But I did something with it. That is the part that mattered.